been eaten, and everybody's just waiting and listening to see when that 2% drop, the 2% sales tax. Welcome to 2024, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you have a very duplicitous, deceitful, lying prime minister in the form of Gaston Brown continue to run Antigua and Barbuda up to now. And there's several issues that I'd like to get into and that we need to deal with. And some of them are very, very interesting because at the end of the day, we are the ones who are going to be carrying the bag and paying for what the Prime Minister has done to this beautiful country of Antigua and Barbuda. So without any further ado, and let's just say we'll deal with the first issue first. We had Papa Bird's Day, the 9th of December was my grandfather's birthday. And then they celebrated down at the VC Bird Bus and Market Street on 9, 10, 11, on the 12th, the Monday. And we heard after the celebrations, the Prime Minister wasn't pleased, but Sir Vivian Richards, our living national hero, did not attend and pay homage to VC Bird Sr. And you wonder what kind of craziness this man talking about. Well, why as a private citizen, which Sir Vivian Richards is, has to come down there while Gaston Brown is there and pay homage to VC Bird? I don't know what that's all about. I don't know why he has to come down to the VC Bird bus to say a damn thing. And people don't have to pay any respects to VC Bird if they don't feel like. And even if they don't go down to the bus, that doesn't mean that they're not in some other way, shape, or form honoring the man. Because what I do know is a lot of people who down there supposedly honoring the man are but a bunch of backstabbers and throat cutters, and are only down there to further their own political ambitions, because they have to, in politics, in the Labour Party, even if you don't love the man, and 99% here really couldn't give a damn about VC Bird. But the position is you have to go and pay homage and act like you give a damn to further your own political careers. But the Prime Minister came after the 12th and said that Sir Vivian Richards did not pay respect or disrespected VC Bird Sr. I saw the UPP put out some press notice about it. And I didn't want to attack it at the time. I just wanted to let it mellow for a while, let everybody go yam them ham and turkey and all the maggot in there. And now that the ham and turkey finished, let's just get into it. Because he's saying in one hand, the Prime Minister, that Sir Vivian disrespected VC Bird. But on the other hand, he has made some very disparaging comments about Vere Bird Sr., the founding father of Antigua and Barbuda, just in the last 2 months. He accused VC Bird Sr. of being part of the medical benefits scandal. A scandal where my grandfather left office in 1994. The medical benefits scandal happened in, let's say, that's about 1998 or so. I wasn't even in Antigua at the time. I was a student in London, law student. But he made these comments about the father of the nations, which are just so inaccurate. Listen to what he said.
You know, if you want an inquiry, provide the evidence of the wrongdoing. In the case of the medical benefits inquiry, I was in government at the time. Celeste was the Prime Minister. The opposition was able to public checks. Tim Hector, the late Tim Hector in the outlet. Checks of public officials stealing medical benefits money. One of those checks ended up with our late father of the nation. Remember the Carl Samuel issue?
Yes. What I want me to do.
Exactly. So I'm making up nothing. So when you have all these checks for 50,000, 60,000 ended up in the hands of politicians and other public officials, and someone published information of that wrongdoing, the government had a choice but to go on an inquiry.
He even said in the beginning of that clip that he made about 2 months ago that Sir Lester was the Prime Minister. So if there can't be two prime ministers at the same time. So obviously, VC Bird Sr. had already resigned. And he's talking about a medical scandal that took place under the administration of Lester Bryant Bird, and Gaston Brown was a member of the cabinet. And he knew all these wrongs were happening. But for some reason, he has to mention VC Bird. I just think the man have a harder for anybody named VC Bird. Because if y'all remember, I still have him in court for defamation for VC Bird Jr. and VC Bird III. The appeal will be heard in April, on the week of the 29th of April, before the Court of Appeal. So you get VC Bird 1, VC Bird 2, VC Bird 3, right? So I just want the people of Antigua to be aware of what was said by this man. No, he's pointing fingers at Sir Viv, not paying proper respects to the founding father of the nation, VC Bird. But when you are accusing the man of having $50,000 and $60,000 taxes on the medical benefit scandal, and the man was not even in office, you don't even apologize for that. You got it wrong, or you're just a damn blasted liar. Anyway, we leave that alone for now. There's so much to deal with on this podcast, and I don't plan to go on for no hour or 2 hours. I just trying to give it another 20 minutes or so. Now I go lie down and rest yourself and prepare yourself to face that 2% sales tax and the rising social security contributions, and all the other 2%, even on the internet and your telephone bill and all that nonsense. Next issue I really want to deal with, and what this podcast is really about, is security. The nation state of Antigua and Barbuda that came into existence, founded and established by Black people on the 1st of November 1981. We talk about security for a small micro state. And let us talk about the security which you don't have. In Antigua and Barbuda, we don't have food security. We do not produce enough food to even feed a quarter of our population. You saw the damage that they've gone to do to Donbass. And even, I don't believe even the powers that be, the Prime Minister and the jacket, realized that those fields, those ancient fields, produced so much and was used for experimentation and provided the seeds for Sea Island cotton to a lot of the other islands in the West Indies. And if they were really interested in agriculture, they ought to have been harvesting Sea Island cattle to train people and to give them an ability outside of just cooking, washing, and cleaning in a hotel, to be able to grow, to harvest, to sell the finest cotton in the world. We don't have that. They got now to use all those lands there. They don't dig them up, all the people in there had them grown provisions in there, and they want them now for go build house span. Right? But let us get back to the security, which I want to talk about. We don't have food security. We don't have water security. I had a client there who was purchasing a house. She came from a fellow OECS territory. I'm not going to name the territory or the circumstances because that's a private matter. Purchasing a house in Antigua and Barbuda. Lady was born in one OECS territory and worked in another OECS territory. Came to Antigua to live for the last 5 months. She paid the money. I am representing the purchasers. She paid the money and she wanted to get access to the house immediately. I said, but wait, you haven't even really completed everything, given you the title deed and everything as yet. She said, well, I just went to the house and the neighbors are telling me public works now hook up to the house. There's no running water to the house. And she found it. She was like, she was telling me, oh, but I can't believe, oh Lord, I wonder if I should have bought this house. I kind of bought it on a whim. So I kind of chuckled there. I tell her, no, listen. In Antigua and Barbuda, you may be better off not having running water to your house. Because even if you have running water to your house, 7 times out of 10, the water isn't running. And even if the water is running, they have this brown water in the pipes. Sometimes it smells. And the government would like to convince us and tell us that, oh, it's old pipes. It's old pipes. I know what old pipes look like. I born in Antigua. I know what that rust come off a pipe. That is not rust. To me, that look like some byproduct of them purifying the water, and they haven't flushed it out of the system properly. And that is going on your children's skin when they're having a bath. So I told the lady, listen, what happened there is that it has a large system in the house. In Antigua and Barbuda, in the economic powerhouse of the West Indies, according to Gaston Brown, people have large cisterns. And you fill your cistern. And I told her, well, you know, I think we had some strong rains even after the storm Philip passed. Nobody was living in the house. So I believe that the cistern is full. Try to find out from the people who are cleaning up and trying to do some renovations, how large is the cistern, and based on how many people live in the house with you, you should be able to gauge it when you're going to need somebody to come with a tank or a water tank, a truck to fill your cistern again. But you're better off without government water. This woman was born in an OECS country and lived in another OECS territory and came to Antigua 5 months ago, and she's shocked. She's panicked when she heard that people don't panic in Antigua when they don't have running water to their house, because they're better off if they just have a cistern. So we don't have food security. We don't have water security. And with that crisis in Guyana over the border dispute between Venezuela and Guyana, we don't have regional security. And you know what was surprising with this whole Guyana-Venezuela thing that has blew up in the last month and a half, 2 months, is that the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, he was very quiet on the matter, knowing that the largest amount of foreigners from the West Indies in Antigua and Barbuda are Guyanese. Traditionally, it was Dominicans. Traditionally, Dominicans would come and go and sell the provisions and so on. And traditionally, it was them. But the Guyanese come to Antigua, they outdo the Dominicans in their numbers, the Jamaicans, the Santo Domingans. And they're the largest immigrants to Antigua. The Prime Minister was very quiet about Venezuela and Guyana nearly going to war. And I wonder why this lout, this dirtbag and lout kept his mouth so shut. So I'm wondering, where's this jackass to come and throw in his 2 cents? Is he going down to St. Vincent to go up there? You know, he love to be up at the header and table and act like he do something big. He is the world boss, as they call him in Antigua. Or in some sectors. No, you crazy, look at them there. So I'm waiting to hear when the other foot go drop what's going on here. I don't see Gaston showing up his self. Then we heard that Raleigh, the Prime Minister of Trinidad, had some deal to develop some oil fields in Venezuela. And because the Americans and the Western powers had put sanctions on Venezuela and Maduro's regime, the deal was held up. And recently, the deal was back on again because the Americans needing Venezuela oils said, okay, Mr. Raleigh, Trinidad can go and develop the oil fields. And they made a stipulation. You can go and develop the oil fields, but whatever oil or petroleum or whatever you develop or get from that oil fields, it can't be sold to one territory in the Caribbean, Cuba. And then you hear the Prime Minister of Antigua every occasion and the pontification at the OEAS meetings about the need to lift the embargo against Cuba. And we must lift the embargo. It's inhumane and unjust for how many years? I mean, it was 60, 70 years the embargo nearly on. And you really wonder where Guyana is concerned. Regional security and unity, West Indian unity. Because I'm saying if the Prime Minister of Trinidad didn't know that there was this border dispute between Guyana and Venezuela, something is wrong with him. Because why are you talking about regional security and you're talking about West Indian unity, and you have your CARICOM, and they're supposed to be uniting all the West Indians, and we're all going to be happy in the Caribbean because we're all uniting like a post-West Indian Federation fiesta. We're all going to be happy now because we're all united under one culture and one belief and economic and political union. And you're the stupid, dirty, foolish politicians. At the same time, they're talking about West Indian unity. They forget about Guyana's border dispute with Venezuela. And they come to tell us the Prime Minister had the referendum back in 2018. He said, oh, we have to have our own CCJ. It's very important that we have our own courts. It furthers West Indian unity, that all the Caribbean territories of West Indians will be going under the CCJ. It's very important. Regional integration, they call it. But how you integrate when you have a border dispute in Guyana with Venezuela? They had 100 times the amount of armed forces pointing at Guyana. And Trinidad surreptitiously with the mangy dog Gaston Brown of Antigua. They even bragged in the papers in Antigua last week. The Prime Minister of Antigua was very up with the Prime Minister of Trinidad to get this deal go through. He was right there and helping that to go through, while a West Indian territory is nearly going to war. These guys, in the name of regional unity and integration, went to cut a deal with Maduro. You know, this reminds me of what took place just before the Ukraine war started 2 years ago. You know what type of man Putin was. But because of easy money and easy gas, the Germans had the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipelines, and they wanted to get the easy gas out of Russia to come to their country. So the Prime Minister of Trinidad and the Prime Minister of Antigua, basically, I don't know who the other bottoms involves, but you know, there are always a bunch of them. They like roaches. Where you see one, there are others. You can't see one roach. So these roaches in Trinidad and Antigua, the leaders of these countries, while Guyana is nearly going to war, they're cutting deals to get easy gas for the West Indians when one West Indian country is on the verge of a border war. We heard nothing about the West Indians sending a battalion of soldiers, a compilation of all the islands going on there. 200, 300, 400 soldiers, get a feel for the land and the layout and see if not fight the war, but at least provide logistics for the Guyanese soldiers who are on the front line. Nobody said anything about that. They don't want to inflame the situation. And we now know why they didn't want to inflame the situation. Because he set up bottoms. We certainly know Raleigh and Gaston Brown, at least for now, were cutting deals to make certain that the deal to get oil or develop an oil field in Venezuela, they were pushing it through. That is what you call regional integration. Guyana, you better watch out yourself, because you have some low-down, dirty Caribbean brothers and sisters. They have no love for you. Look at the next thing. So they're cutting Guyana's throat already because of easy gas. And then the Americans tell them, whatever you're able to get out of that oil field and develop, you can share it with the rest of the West Indies or the Caribbean, but for Cuba. So there again, where is regional integration? The Prime Minister, I don't know about Raleigh anybody else, but I know Gaston get up there and talk about the inhumane condition of this embargo. And look at this ass. Look at this jackass y'all represented. Have you representing y'all on the international stage. What about regional integration, Gaston Brown? So We don't have food security. We don't have water security in Antigua. We don't have regional security because none of them even have an armed force that could go and provide logistics to the Guyanese Defense Force. And let me get closer now to Antigua's domestic situation. Crime has gone up in Antigua and Barbuda. The sort of gun crimes that are happening, traditionally it was Antigua and Dominica which had the most peaceful, crime-free society in our neck of the woods. But for some reason now, crime is rising. We don't even trust our police force because some of them are implicated in a lot of these crimes. And that's another insecurity we're having in Antigua and Barbuda. Who's going to make us safe in 2024? You, your family, your loved ones. It is not Gaston and then other set of bull-poopers forming the cabinet of Antigua and Barbuda. So you better be careful. And if you can't be careful, make sure you have some good padlocks on your house. Make sure your family is protected at night. Go put up some cameras and don't wait on the Royal Police Force of Antigua and Barbuda for your safety. I'd like to also talk about the other issue. And I'm going now to the budget. I did say that I was going to do a little follow-up on the budget. Well, that's last year already, and things done had their ham and turkey, and they had done knock off all the weevil and the worms and the maggots and turkey and go eat it, because they're like vermin right now, the way the government has them. But let us deal with this other issue. The Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, in his budget, along the other things that are raising besides Social Security, the contributions, and the ABS, the Antigua and Barbuda sales tax, he mentioned that there's going to be an increase on the taxes, credit union, what do you call it again, Western Union, and the other one, tell you whatever it is. He said that there's going to be an increase of the taxes that you have to pay when you're sending money out of Antigua and Barbuda. Don't any of you remember in opposition, we used to have 1% on any money being sent out of the country. I remember this because when I was we went to study law in England in 1994, oh Lord, so long ago. I remember that I had to go and get a waiver of that 1% because we're sending money to the United Kingdom for my student fees. And you had to go and I can't remember which department when you had to get somebody to sign off with this, and you showed proof that you got your admission to this university and you're going to study law. They waived the 1%. And that 1% was just to say that Antigua has so many foreigners in it that just for them to come to Antigua, make money and ship it back to their things, it is messing up our economy. We have to keep the money into Antigua. They do it in the United Kingdom. In the United Kingdom, if you have a pension and you take the pension and you leave an address where a bank in the United Kingdom where your pension go to, you get your full pension. But those pensioners can tell you if you say that send the money to Antigua, they take off how much % off the money. So this was just to keep their first world major power economy afloat. Too much money cannot come out of the pot. Antigua saying 1% on any transaction where money is leaving the jurisdiction. You know, in opposition, you know the one politician for the Antigua Labour Party, because the UPP decided they were going to waive the 1% for regional integration. You know the one bottom that got up and sided with the UPP at the time in opposition, in support of waiving the 1% that they were charging people on sending money out to the jurisdiction. Gaston Brown. 1% on any money that you're sending out of Antigua and Barbuda. He got up and said, that is right, waive that 1%. Regional integration. Now he's the Prime Minister. On the 15th of December, he comes and tells you that he's going to be putting on more taxes on you sending money out of the jurisdiction. You understand? I remember Uncle Lester and Robin, them would say, what's going on here? We are supposed to come with a policy that we oppose them removing the 1%. But Mr. Brown have to show up himself like a sissy, the little sissy that he is, and show the people, hey, Bratwit, how you doing, man? You all right? All's well with you? All the best to you and the family, man. Yeah, he had to show his objection to the policies of the Antigua Labour Party at the time. Sided with the government, the then government, the administration, the UPP. I'm just reminding people, it did happen. But he's so opposed to 1% on any money that goes out to the jurisdiction. But no, he's putting on taxes on the same money going out of the jurisdiction that is more than 1%. Be careful with this, man. It's 10 years now I left the Antigua Labour Party now. 2024, I left the Labour Party in 2014. Right? So it's 10 years since I've been warned in Antigua. Over 10 years. Even back in 2013. I warned in Antigua and Barbuda period of this jackass they put in for a prime minister, you know. But for some reason, Antiguan people who here will feel they like to dabble where they shouldn't go. You know, they say, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. And that is the problem we're having in Antigua and Barbuda today. I just want to make a short mention of what has happened at Dunbar's. And you saw that the fields were not even allowed to be harvested. They're taking those ancient lands, the last lands in Antigua and Barbuda in the north farms, and going to put houses in them when those lands ought to be supported by the government and to be financed and to further development into development of Antiguans' crops, ground provisions, to further our food security. It looks like it's a little bit too late right now, but I did warn you, where you going with Gaston Brown? Because at the end of the day now, you saw that they put out a notice, the Ministry of Labour. They put out a notice this week, and they're saying that Antiguans can find work in Canada on a farm in Canada to go and harvest Canadian crops for 2 months. I just want to say, while the government found time to go and bulldoze those ancient fields up at Dunbar's, at the same time they're going to do this, they're wiping out people from working locally. They're wiping out people from staying with their families. They want them to now travel to Canada to go and harvest crops. And when that person get their bit of pay and come back home after 2 months, they'll be going to the supermarket where they can go and purchase the crops that they harvested that is imported from Canada. That is the reality in Antigua and Barbuda today. Food security, they wipe it out. You can see the bulldozers walking all over the back one, them just trampling all the drip irrigation and all the yam and all the sweet potato and all the what they had up there. Also, they had the coconut to fight the yellow rust coconut disease that has been hampering us and our coconut trees that are planted all over Antigua and Barbuda. Even on the beaches, you don't have any trees. Very few of them were able to resist the red rust disease. But they're telling you now, go to Canada and find work. Go do 2 months and then come back home and go and buy the crops that you harvested for the Canadians in Antigua and Barbuda. Go and buy the produce that you harvested, because they are not looking about having any lands in Antigua and Barbuda where we can grow our own crops. How much longer this will go on? It's gone on for far too long. Gaston Brown should never have been the prime minister. He and a jacket of a wife They should never be in that position. But you, people of Antigua and Barbuda, have put them there. And it's now time to go lie in your bed and make the right decision when the time comes to change these lying, dirty, stinking, filthy individuals that are running this country. All the very best for 2024. I hope y'all don't get sticker shock when you go tomorrow, first working day of the year, and go to the supermarket and get the sticker shock when you realize sales stock has gone from 15% to 17%. And the prices were already high on the imports. And the inflation was killing the little bit of salary that you had. And the little rise that they gave you, the little raise that they gave you, it's gone right back into taxes. So 1 foot forward, 2 steps backwards. God bless Antigua and Barbuda. We'll do this again real soon. Bye for now.